Season 49, War number 7, and we have Voyant, Emma Frost, and Vox on the team. And this is largely going to be a Claire war. Claire has 5 fights, Emma and Vox both have 1. And we're going to start on path 4, like usual, against the CGR on node 4. Have not gone a war this season without fighting him on node 4, because that's where he's always placed, and still a pretty easy fight, so we're going to get into it in just a second. I'm activating that indestructible boost largely for the fight after this one, and not for this fight specifically. But basically, I just want to cycle into Incinerate Curse, and now that I have it, I'm going to go for my SP2, does a bunch of burst damage, and then he goes down relatively fast. We just need to keep our tactic prowess high. Gonna block the SP2 just to not risk a misdex and taking a ridiculous amount of damage. Get some extra prowess there because he held block, which is nice, but I really didn't want him to throw that heavy attack because now he placed another judgment on me, and now I just absolutely have to make sure that he never throws a special attack without the buff immunity active, or else it's gonna be, or else I'm gonna get degened, I should say. So anyway, we block that one, and then I'm going to throw another SP2 as soon as I get the parry, and we go for it right here, and I think it finishes the job, and it does, so really good fight for Claire there. And she has another one here against this rank 3 Corvus on node 13, and I was quite nervous about this fight just because it's a fight where if I get hit a couple times, I'm just going to die, assuming I don't keep his glaive under control. So I'm going to be going for a lot more heavy attacks than I normally would in this fight, just to keep his glaive under control, just in case. Throw the SP2 while he's indestructible there. I don't manage my tactic prowess too well in this one, but I have 20 clairvoyance charges, so I'm just going to throw an SP3 as soon as I can get the charges off of him. So I throw it. And again, I sped the fight up just because this takes a long time because of the weakness and inequity and all that stuff. And he does have indestructible a lot in this fight. Luckily, usually it is never too big an issue. But anyway, luckily I had that indestructible boost too because I took a combo right there. So that was annoying, but I'm waiting for the weakness to fall off. And here I go for an SP2, power control him a bit, and then we gain a bunch of more clairvoyance charges. And then we throw the SP2, SP3, and he is dead, just like that. So, pretty easy fight, but I definitely am glad I used the indestructible boost. Definitely helped out a lot there. And next up, I'm going to be fighting Aarkus on path 6 in section 2. I can't think of the exact node number, I think it's 24. But this is a pretty easy fight. I just need to keep my tactic prowess as high as possible, and then we'll be okay. Activate a combat regen boost just because I had one expiring and I don't need too much health. I want to gain a little bit more tactic prowess before I start nullifying his buffs, but he does not feel like blocking until I finally get him to. And there we go, so he blocks again, and now I'm fine. It just took a little while. There, I somehow couldn't dash back and got punched by him. I don't really know what happened. Annoying, but it's okay. We're going to start power controlling, except I realize it doesn't really make a difference because he reduces the potency of Power Steel by quite a bit, so I really just need to go for some Bleed Curse SP2s because these are just going to keep me healed up. And I think going in this fight, I was like, okay, just don't push him to SP2 because then you'll take a bunch of block damage. What do? Of course I push him to SP2, so I lost like 33% of my health just from blocking that, but luckily we can stay in Poison Curse in this fight and it won't matter, so we can just, not Poison Curse, Bleed Curse the whole fight, so it won't matter because we can just heal back up a lot, and that block damage we took earlier won't matter too much. Obviously I don't want to push him to SP2 on purpose a lot, but if it happens, it's not the end of the world, assuming I don't get hit by it. So I'm going to nullify his power gain right here. He can't armor break me when he doesn't have a power gain, so we're kind of chilling at this point. We're going to gain some more health back, get a nice crit at the end of that special, pushing me all the way back to 90%, and then I believe I kill him before he can throw another SP2. In just like a combo and a relic, I believe. So, never mind, I'm going for a parry, and then I got 3 crits on my basics, so that does it. Okay, next up is Vox's fight against this Shuri on node 33. When I knew I was taking Path 6, I was just like, or my officer was to me like, okay, just take a Cosmic that you know you can take Shuri with, and you'll be fine. And I was like, okay, that sounds fine. So I was like, let me use Vox, and he said he was cool with that, so I'm using Vox here. Before someone says use Hulkling, my Hulkling is 6-star rank 3, and I have no intentions of ranking him up, so yeah, that's not going to work. Instead, we're using Vox, because Vox is more fun. We're going to do a bunch of corner play in this fight, because I can't Ricochet intercept Shuri, which is something I would like to be doing, but it's okay. But I'm also going to get hit by this SP1, so that is bad. But luckily her SP1 doesn't hit too hard. The worst thing about the SP1 is that the precisions that come after it give her guaranteed crits. So if I get hit, it's going to be very bad. So here I believe I get the SP1 dex correctly. And yeah, that's what I was trying to do the first time. Got it there. I know the SP1 dex pretty well. But here is where it's going to get really bad. I'm going to dash in to either hit her block or just hit her for an intercept, and she light intercepts me. I am so unbelievably lucky she only did 2 hits. If she did more than 2 hits, I think I would have died. I legitimately probably would have died if she did more than 2 hits, because those shocks are going to tick me down very much, especially if I get hit on the last hit of her SP2 to refresh them, or SP1 to refresh them. So here I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. So now I need to throw my SP2. I have the Vigilance, so I can bait her heavy attack now, and we're kind of chilling. I just need to not die here, and we're going to be okay. We get the heavy counter, and then she dies. Nearly had a heart attack, man. That was almost so bad. I'm so lucky that she did not do more than 2 hits with those guaranteed crits up. I would have legitimately died. So that's the second time I've ever taken Vox to war. Definitely not as ideal as I would have wished it have gone, but yeah, so we got the solo, that's what matters. Anyway, next up we have Kingpin on node 41. Pretty easy fight for Emma, because we kind of just get to an SP2, and if it doesn't kill him, then the second one we get from powerbacks will. So we're gonna go in here and do some parry heavies initially. The thing with Emma where you reduce their power gain from the heavy attack in diamond form, it doesn't really matter for Kingpin because of Power Focus 1 giving him more power, but also his rage stacks. So there wasn't really a big point in doing that earlier, but whatever. Gain some prowess here. I'm going to get... Never mind, I'm going to not get rooted again. I thought I was for a second, but we don't. And then I go for my SP2 after he throws his SP1 here. And with 13, 14 prowess, we throw the SP2. We do not get the second hit to crit. If that crit, he dies. But we don't really need it. We're going to bait one more SP1. He's just going to die right after. So we throw this special 2, and he's dead. So, easy fight for Emma. They did not place a lot of skill champions on the map for me to use Emma for this one, but still it was a really nice fight, and even though I only had one fight with Emma, it went really well, so I'll take it. Okay, next up is Sersi on node 45. This is the Hazard Shift, Shock, and Bleed node, so I am going to be staying in Bleed Curse the whole fight, and I have an Odin pre-fight to handle the Shock Curse, so this is maybe the easiest fight of the entire war, if I'm being entirely honest. Claire just destroys this one because we're constantly bleed immune. I can just fuel myself up with Mystic Dispersion, and then we just go for the SP2s. We're always going to be in Bleed Curse, meaning every time we throw an SP2, we're going to be healing, so chit damage I take doesn't matter. And we're going to just spam SP2s until we get a very high amount of Clairvoyance charges, and then I'm going to dump them off with an SP3. And that'll be kind of it. I'm going to block her SP1 sometimes, going to dex them sometimes. It really just depends on what I feel like. If I have the buff immunity, then I don't ever have to worry about her going unblockable, but I don't always have that, so I think I'm going to get some prowess before I throw my SP3. I'm trying to get her to dash back. She finally does. And here we go for the SP3. with 5 of our prowess and 15 of our clairvoyance charges. It's going to do a pretty good bit of damage, nothing too crazy, but more importantly it dumps off my clairvoyance charges so I never hit the max of them and I can always gain more. So she goes down to 37, and here she throws her SP1. Doesn't go unblockable, so I can just block that part. And I'm going to use MD to fuel myself up to an SP2 with those regens, and she's going to die in just a couple seconds because we're going to be spamming SP2s and stuff. So I'm going to go back in. She does not gain her glancing because of my buff immunity. We throw another SP2 and then it finishes the job. So really solid fight. Handled literally every problem with the fight. We had the Odin pre-fight, we had the bleed curse, we had the healing constantly, we had the buff immunity to shut her down. Really easy. And speaking of easy, here is the last fight of my war against Node 47 Adam Warlock. Taken this fight so many times this season, and for Claire it's just a complete joke. You just get to SP2 in the poison curse and he's literally dead, especially if you have power backs, which you always should have for this fight. So yeah, we're just gonna spam our SP2s. If you power steal Adam, he loses his power gain for 12 seconds, so don't ever have to worry about that being an issue. And if he throws an SP1, I can block the hits that aren't the first hit. But usually he's not throwing a special attack in this fight. I'm going to go for the Relic and then another SP2, and then we're going to go for another Power Steal cycle. So he does that, and we're almost back to another SP2 after that one. So yeah, Claire is not the fastest attacker out there, but it doesn't matter when you have control as crazy, ridiculous as hers is. And I think the Sersi fight and this Adam fight are just the epitome of that. Anyone who's dissing Claire out there, it's just, what else do you need to see other than me spamming SP2s and just keeping Adam blocked down like this? This is a really good placement for Adam because it's one you often see because of how annoying it is when he starts spamming his special attacks, but it doesn't matter with how good Claire controls him. So he's gonna die just like that with me still like 80% health, and that is my war 7. So really nice war for me. 7 fights, 7 solos, so that puts me at like a 96% solo rate of the season so far. I've only had 2 deaths, and I don't believe, no, I had 1 with Claire, 1 with Emma. Those are my 2 deaths of the season. 96% solo rate right now, feeling really good about it. And we did end up winning this war, putting us at 4-3. We're on a little bit of a winning streak, 3 wars in a row, which is pretty nice. And yeah, that's going to be my war video for this one. I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you in the next one.